Podcast, Africa Facing the American Dollar, with Mr. Alexis LECLERC, CEO of LECLERC Consulting Group. Hello, Mr. LECLERC.
Hello.
Several entities from countries like China, Russia, India, Nigeria, and Algeria are currently abandoning the US dollar in international trade agreements. What's going on with the dollar right now?
Good question. Since 1944, the privileged position of the dollar has given the USA a disproportionate influence over other economies, including countries like Africa, Asia, South America, and the Middle East. The dollar as the world reserve currency is now coming to an end. According to the International Monetary Fund, data on the currency composition of official foreign exchange reserves, the dollar shares of global foreign exchange reserve has already fallen sharply. At the end of 2022, the American currency accounted for 58% of foreign exchange reserves against 71% in 1999. The invisible conflict between China and the West is pushing more and more countries to want to trade in their own currency. Brazil, the largest country in the Western Hemisphere, recently concluded a trade agreement with China. They will now trade in their own currency. A secondary economy is being created in the world completely independent of the USA. Right now, many countries are looking at different alternatives as the rising value of the US dollar is crippling their economies and contributing to the rising cost of living. The India rupee has fallen almost 10% in 2023 against the dollar, the pound Egyptian lira by 20%, and the lira in Turkey, where prices more than doubled, fell by 28%.
And how would you say the African continent is reacting to this?
Well, the cost of currency convertible with the US dollar in trade between Africa countries is close to $5 billion a year, and the declining role of the US dollar in international trade has encouraged African nations to take steps to free themselves from American influence by strengthening their own national currencies or working on new currencies that will be used for trade on the continent. For example, the East African Community, comprising Burundi, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, Uganda, and Sudan, is working on a regional currency called the East African Shilling. The Southern African Development Community is also considering creating a common currency. This organization is bringing together 16 countries in Southern Africa and the Indian Ocean. In 2021, the African Continental Free Trade Area came into operation. More than 54 African countries have signed this agreement. This organization has called on members to trade in local African currency. Speaking in late March, an official from that organization said that the bloc was working on a pan-African payment and settlement system to allow local currency to be used in trade between countries on the continent. Due to the recent euro-dollar crisis, which affected the CFA francs, the CEMAC bloc, which count among its members Gabon, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Chad, Republic of Congo, and Equatorial Guinea, announced that would stop using the CFA franc, opting for a complete name change.
We're now coming to an end of our interview. Would you like to add a final word?
Absolutely. In April 2023, former South African President Thabo Mbeki said that many countries are considering alternatives to the dollar to avoid the impact of US sanctions, a historic shift in perspective driven by a global desire to be subject to American power through its currency. Shifts in geopolitical alliance are gaining momentum as the rivalry between the USA and China intensifies. A series of moves by the BRICS bloc are challenging the dominance of the US dollar. BRICS members believe that a new currency could streamline transactions, currently hampered by currency conversions and associated costs, and thereby lead to a gradual decline in the dominance of the dollar. It seems that we are heading towards a multipolar reserve currency situation where national currencies, new currencies, and cryptocurrencies will take precedence against the dollar. On July 22, 1944, in the economic agreements that shaped the outline of the post-World II international financial system, Africa was largely ignored. 60 years later, while the Western world is facing demographic decline, Africa is booming, brimming with a young and increasingly tech-savvy population, and is finally taking center stage internationally. 2 points to note: podcast was produced following the writing of an article that we wrote. It's entirely is available on our website. Since 2022, LECLERC Consulting Group had his office in Cameroon in order to transact locally with his partners.
Thank you for your time today. Could you remind us how to find you on social networks?
Well, you can find us on the Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram platforms, and on our website, www.leclercconsultinggroup.com. And I remind you that the experts of LECLERC Consulting Group are available at all times to accompany you or advise you on your project and your organizational strategies. Thank you.